Welcome to Imani Radio UG, brought to you by My Beautifier Community Youth Uganda, hosted by Pastor Jamesboy Imani. Today on Imani Radio UG, we are privileged to host a very powerful man of God. His names are Mr. Evans Oirere, based in Nairobi, Kenya. Evans Oirere is a very enterprising man. He's a great public speaker, and he's also a great music producer, music songwriter, music teacher, and he also has an IT solutions company that operates in Nairobi, Kenya. He's also a married man and also a father of 2 sons. He's a very great friend and a very loved person by whoever has come across him. So it's an honor to have him here on the Imani Radio Show. I welcome you, Mr. Evans Oirere, on Imani Radio UG. It's really a great opportunity to have you on board.
Yes, thank you so much, Pastor Jamesboy Imani, for having me in your show. I'm also privileged to be speaking to my brothers and sisters in Uganda. Like you've just said, I'm Evans Oirere. I was born and bred in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm a born again. Jesus is my personal savior, and that's something I'm always proud of. I'm the CEO and founder of a record label called Vineyard Records. We are based in Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm also a music producer, going by the name Producer T. Somebody somewhere might be wondering why T? Why use the word Producer T? Just to answer briefly, I'm happily married to a young, beautiful lady by the name Tabitha Onkoba, and we are blessed with 2 young, handsome boys. Our firstborn child is called Tennyson, and our secondborn child is called Teddyson. So the word T means a lot to me. When somebody calls me Producer T or T, I always feel great because they remind me that I have a huge responsibility of taking good care of my family, the T family. So when somebody calls me T, I always appreciate with a smile. I'm also the CEO and founder of an IT company called NetSpace Technologies Limited. We are based in Nairobi, Kenya, and our major focus is always offering IT solutions to organizations, whereby we do website development, domain registration, and hosting. And we also do website maintenance. We do internet networking. We sell computer accessories. We also do software development and any other thing that pertains to IT. That's what we normally offer to organizations.
Do you mind sharing with us about your background? Briefly, probably education, place of birth, where you were raised, your childhood. What kind of childhood did you have? And bring us briefly so that we can know more about you. You can just explain something brief from your childhood up to this moment, so that we can have a great idea of who you really are, sir.
Thank you, James. I was born in the mid-80s to a family of Mr. and Mrs. Johnson and Susan Oirere. We are a family of 6, 4 girls and 2 boys, and I'm the last born. So many people normally say last born kids are always spoiled. That's not the case to me. I can say being the last born child, I was left alone with my parents, so all the household chores I was the one doing, like cleaning utensils, cleaning the house, and by so doing, it kind of like shaped me to be who I am today. I started my primary education in the 1990s. I sat for my Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, that is KCPE, in 1999, and later joined a Seventh-day Adventist sponsored school called Nyanjo High School. I sat for my Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, that is KCSE, in the year 2003. Later, I managed to join a college to pursue my computer and maintenance course at the Technical University of Kenya. After successful completion, I joined Institute of Advanced Technology to pursue my computer science course. I completed and got employed with an ISO training company, and I was employed as an IT administrator. I worked for 3 years, and later I decided it was now my time to move on and open my own IT company and offer IT solutions. Now, going back to your question about my childhood life, I was raised in a Christian family and I was taught Christian values. So I've learned to respect other people's opinion. I've learned not to be fast in decision making. When you humble yourself, even God says you'll be exalted. But if you exalt yourself, you'll be humbled.
Now, I hope you're well aware of our topic. Today it is about finding true love. The biggest question is, does true love really exist? Especially to the young man, young woman right now, and even those who got married and later realized that probably they married the wrong people. We've seen a lot of divorce, a lot of problems in marriage. We've seen people date and split before marriage. We've seen a lot of confusion, and basically both genders complaining to a higher extent that true love doesn't exist. We are speaking most especially about the youth circles. We really need your input in this. Do you really think true love exists? And the reason I ask you this question is because you seem to be the image of true love, you and your wife. You publicly express your affection towards her, and she does the same. So you people seem to be living in a different kind of planet. So we really need to find out, does true love really exist, sir?
Okay, according to me, I do believe that true love do exist. And this I mean when you find your true partner and vice versa. I always tell people, before you commit to any relationship, you need to ask yourself, am I ready for this commitment? Because this is not something that you come into in the morning and in the evening you want to jump out. Remember, this is someone's heart that you need to look after rather than tearing it apart. I always tell my friends that they need to open an emotional bank account. This account is like any other bank account that we normally have. Because you can't just wake up one early morning and go to any Ugandan bank and say you want to withdraw. First of all, they'll ask you in a polite manner, sweetheart, please, can you give us or can you help us with your bank account details? And of course, you know you don't have any account with them. So they'll like chase you like a wild dog. In any bank account, you need to make some deposits so that you can be able to make withdrawals come in the evening. Same applies to any relationship. Having that concept will actually make your marriage or your relationship work. Open that emotional bank account. And when I mean emotional bank account, I mean you need to deposit love, you need to deposit patience, you need to deposit kindness, you need to deposit forgiveness. And my friend, you won't regret. It's like any other account. If you make today a deposit, in the evening you make a deposit, tomorrow morning you make a deposit, come next week, you'll have something to withdraw from your account. Same applies to the emotional bank account. if you deposit all those that I've just mentioned, my friend, you'll have something to withdraw. Your partner will really have something to give you. So don't make unnecessary withdrawals, because by doing so, you might end up having insufficient funds in your account. So make it a habit of investing in your marriage. Make a habit of investing in your emotional bank account. And for sure, you'll see your marriage growing day by day. Coming to my case, I can just say I'm the luckiest man in the world, because I found my soulmate, that is Tabitha. They normally say true love doesn't exist, but to me, I can prove and I can attest that true love really exists. If only you begin your marriage with God. So many relationships have failed simply because they started by themselves. They didn't involve anyone. But to me, I'm not bragging or I'm not trying to show off, but I want just to testify that I began my marriage with God. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. Yeah, surely, if you just read Ecclesiastes chapter 4 verse 12, the cord of marriage is stronger when God is the first strand. So the moment you involve God in your marriage, or before you begin your relationship with your partner, just go quietly. Seek God's intervention. Invite Him. Like the Bible says clearly, a prudent wife comes from God. A prudent wife doesn't come from a restaurant or a bar, but comes from God. So what are you supposed to do? Seek God's intervention. Seek God's guidance before you begin your marriage. So many relationships fail just because of communication. Trying to grow a strong family relationship without healthy communication is like attempting to make grape juice without grapes. So what are you supposed to do? Make that commitment to communicate well, and you'll have it all, my friend. If you have issue with your partner, communicate. Don't keep quiet.
What was your teenage season like when it came to relating, especially with the female gender, the dating, probably getting to know more about the opposite sex and all that? What was it like? Did you have girlfriends? Did you date? Tell us more about that. And how did it go? What was your experience?
I started interacting with the female gender when I joined my upper level of education, that is my secondary education, because I joined a mixed school where we had female students. But during my lower level of education, that is my primary education, I went to a boys' boarding primary school. So I never interacted with the female students. But during my O-level education, I went to a mixed school. So you can imagine now I'm in a new environment that I was not used to, having a female student as my classmate. At first I became afraid and reserved, because that was not the kind of environment I was used to. Now things were changing very fast. My dress code changed, my way of interaction changed. Actually, that's where I can say my eyes opened on how to interact with the female gender. I learned a lot. I can say I learned a lot. And to be honest, yeah, I dated. But during my time as a teenager, I never wanted to give false hope to any lady. So my interaction with the female friends was kind of respectful. So I never wanted to give any false hope to anyone.
Do you believe in the saying that one has to kiss many frogs in order for them to find their true prince charming or their true princess? Is that saying true? Basically meaning that one has to really go through a lot of problems, meeting the wrong people, dating, breaking up, heartbreaks and all that, in order for them to meet the right person. Do you believe in that kind of system?
According to me, I don't believe in that perception, because by so doing, you are inviting trouble. In this time and era, so many lives have been destroyed and dreams shattered by this fallacy. We have babies taking care of babies. Others have been forced to drug addiction just to escape from a depression caused by disappointments in failed relationships. I would encourage your youth not to lower their standards in the name of finding Prince Charming. Just stay focused and pursue your dreams, and other things will follow. Like I started by saying, most marriages or relationships fail just because of one thing. They don't begin with God. I'll repeat, if you want to succeed in anything, let's say in your education, in your marriage, in your finances, in anything that you want to succeed in life, begin with God. Invite God in your plans and you will succeed for sure.
If you do not mind, can you just briefly explain or hint to us how and where you met your wife? Probably it could help someone out there. How and where you met your wife, and what led you to getting to a level of commitment to her? What made you reach that level of commitment? And then after that, probably you can explain how did you reach that level where you are convicted in your heart that she was the right person for you, the one that God meant for you to be your wife. So please explain that to us. Thank you.
I met Tabitha in the year 2007 in church. Actually, we met in church. She used to sing with our youth choir ministry, and I used to be their music teacher, their music conductor, and also their music pianist. So most of the time I could be in front of her conducting or training them new songs. So like a teacher, you always know your students and you also know them by their character. So we used to interact a lot. Like I said earlier, giving false hope was not my portion when engaging or interacting with a female friend. So I was very cautious on how I interacted with her. But one thing for sure, we really enjoyed each other's company. And during those occasions, I never acted inappropriately, or she never acted inappropriately. We just respected each other's privacy. And for information, back then she used to pay for my bus fare because both of us were having part-time class in the evening, and we could go separate ways because we were not in the same college. But after classes, if she finishes fast, she could go and wait for me at the bus stop. And the same applied to me. If I finished earlier than her, I could go to the bus stop and wait for her. Then we go home together because we used to live in the same area. She could pay for my transport and I could also pay for her. So you can imagine that attachment began long time ago. What attracted me to Tabitha was her character. She had all the qualities of a good wife, as depicted in Proverbs chapter 31. I can actually say it was a divine connection. I knew Tabitha since 2007, but it took me actually 3 years to approach her. So I actually went down to my knees and consulted my God, and actually prayed that if Tabitha was the right person for me, let His will be done. But if she wasn't, then I'll accept the outcome. So one Sabbath after service, I actually told her I wanted to see her. She was surprised because she was not sure what I was going to ask her. So when she came, I actually told her, Tabitha, there's something that has been bothering me for a long time. But today I wanted just to ask you. So I openly say, Tabitha, I want you to be my girlfriend. I want you to be mine. To my surprise, she responded politely and said, Evans, I've been waiting for those words for so long. Please, I would want you to be my fiancé. Oh boy. My friend James, I almost sang that song of Moses and the lamb. Anyway, to cut the long story short, we got married in a church wedding in 2012, December 9.
Ever since you got married, do you have any regrets? Do you ever regret getting married? And just in case, is a marriage a bed of roses? Because some people get married thinking it's a forever happy life. Do you think it is a perfect place, or it's a place of learning and mistakes? And are there challenges that you've faced, which are very complicated challenges, that you'd rather advise someone who's not ready for marriage to avoid? Are there challenges? Are there the good things? So please share with us the challenges, the good things. Are there any regrets? Yeah, basically, may God lead you on that question.
Amen. I don't regret the decision I made 8 years ago of walking Tabitha down the aisle. I've never looked back. I've never regretted meeting Tabitha. She has been my source of happiness. Yeah, marriage is not a bed of roses, simply because there are no perfect families, because there are no perfect people. So conflicts are always there, but a family just needs to be connected in a healthy way by managing conflicts in a timely manner and are committed in being patient. Remember the concept that I talked earlier about opening emotional bank account. You open that account and you ensure you make deposits on a daily basis so that when time comes, you'll have something to withdraw. There are challenges in marriage. No one is perfect at all, but it calls for understanding. If you read Proverbs chapter 24 verse 3 and 4, you will learn that by wisdom a home is built, and through understanding it's established. Through knowledge its rooms are filled with the rose and beautiful treasures. The more we understand one another, the more secure our relationship can be. So it only calls for wisdom and understanding. If any of you lack wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault. That is James chapter 1 verse 5. When your relationship or your marriage seems complicated and you don't know how to mend it, God knows. Ask Him for wisdom and you'll find the solution.
What would be your advice to that person out there from the teenage, youthful stage, and those mature youth, and those people who feel are ready to get committed in marriage, and even those who are dating, and some who are already engaged? What would be your advice when it comes to this thing to do with marriage? What are the eye openers? What should someone look out for? What should someone avoid? What are the wrong ways of approaching marriage, and what are the right methods to approach marriage for someone to have a successful marriage? Yeah.
Okay, my advice to young people who are planning to get married is that you need to distinguish between love and infatuation. Because with love, it's always unselfish, caring about the interests of the other person. Its romance often starts slowly, perhaps taking months or years, and you get attracted by the other person's total personality and spiritual qualities. And with love, you always view the other person realistically, seeing his or her faults, yet you still love them the way they are. But what about infatuation? I think infatuation is selfish. It's kind of restrictive, and its romance starts fast, perhaps taking hours or days. You are deeply impressed or interested in the other person's physical appearance. He has such dreamy eyes. She got a great figure. You see, those are the kind of characters that you need to avoid. It is unrealistic. Arguments are always frequent. Nothing really gets settled. Many are settled with a kiss, my sister or my brother. That's not the case. Infatuation is blind, and it likes to stay that way. I normally call it is a counterfeit love, unrealistic. So when you want to engage yourself or you're planning to get married, those are the characters you need to identify. You need to distinguish, is it true love or is it infatuation? Because if you go in a relationship with an infatuation mentality, I'm telling you, you won't go far. Your marriage will just break. And if you begin your marriage with the love mentality, it will last, and I promise you it will last forever and ever. You know, marriage is neither a fantasy nor a cure-all for problems. Youth often have this childish view of what they want in a marriage. Some normally make good looks as a priority, of which is wrong. My friend, marriage can be a source of rich happiness. At the same time, it can be the most bitter pain you'll ever experience. Always start your marriage with God. Involve God in everything that you do. With God, you can smile at the storm. With God, everything is possible.
Thank you so much, Mr. Evans, for featuring on our radio show. Everything has been greatly informative. May God bless you and your family. Continue inspiring others, continue sharing, and continue being a great role model that you are. We are blessed to have hosted you here on our show. Till next time, bye-bye.
You can follow us on My Beautifier Community Youth Uganda on YouTube and Facebook.